Number one, I like to say how nice it is to be at Tom and Ann's home again. When I think back on the last 7 years when we've been here, in different events, fundraising, having meetings, trying to think of nefarious plans and plots, and just general gatherings. I think the first time I came here was a potluck for Christmas for the party, for the county party. It's always been about what's good for people, what's good for people in Loveland, what's good for people in the country, what's good for people in our state. And I think Ann and Tom really deserve a round of applause for not just this event, but every time they've opened the house. So I know it's customary for people to go down their list of issues, and I can do that fairly quickly. Education is always an issue for Democrats. I'm in favor of public education. I think we need to back it. That's how I got to be a lawyer. That's how the next generation should be allowed to use the same path. Transportation, yes, we have to find new ways to move people around. The old model of one person in one car going 30 miles to work every day is just not sustainable over the long haul. Jobs, we have to look at new ways of finding jobs. I think the old manufacturing model no longer works, or as well. I think we have to start looking at creative ways to bring creative-based jobs in our area. Some of the stuff that we've done with TEDx, with Paul Mueller and Teresa Mueller were instrumental in. And I would urge people to stop and talk to Paul in particular because he's running for city council, and I would also ask people to back him. Give a round of applause for Paul. No problem. So those are the three issues. But I'm really running because of broader issues, broader concerns I have. Some of them relate to some of those issues I've discussed in a really solid way. I mean, one thing I think we're starting to lose track of in this country is our belief in the American dream. And, I know we throw that around a lot, and we throw it around so much that it really doesn't mean anything anymore. But it's the belief that we should have a system that says if you're willing to work hard and you have talent and you have the drive and your heart's in the right place, you should be able to move up in the world. You should be able to do what you can do best. You should have that opportunity. You shouldn't be relegated in a static world to where your parents were and your grandparents were and your great-grandparents were. I'm a good example of that. I come from a blue-collar background. I come from a family of auto mechanics. I was taught to work hard. I was taught to use my intellect to the full ability, and I was taught to make the most of what I could do with the opportunities that America provided to me. What I'm finding today is those opportunities are increasingly being shut down. Public education is becoming increasingly, particularly higher education, is becoming all but unaffordable for working-class families. I think we have to stop doing that. We have to return and make sure we still maintain those ladders that people can climb up. I think it's a smart thing to do. I think it's the right thing to do. And I think we have to start doing that again. I also think that we have to restore our own faith and the faith of our fellow neighbors in democracy. This is a democracy, and it's always been an American pastime. Yeah, let's hear it out for democracy. It's always been something of an American pastime to criticize government and to sit on the sidelines and go, oh, that's government, they screw everything up. I had to wait 43 hours in line to get my driver's license, etc. But at the end of the day, in our system, we are the government. And if the government doesn't work, we have to fix it. We can't wait for somebody else to fix it, and we sure can't abandon it. So that's another thing I want to do when elected is get down there, give some power back to the legislature, which has been largely taken away from it. There's very little discretion left in the legislature right now due to initiatives and mandates, and we can talk about that. Tabor, and Tabor's, when you throw it all together, I mean, the Tabor and the reactionary initiatives from Tabor, it's been described as having our feet on the gas and the brake at the same time. We can't do that anymore. We have to get some discretion back in our elected officials. And more than anything else, we have to start looking at our government as something that belongs to us. It's not them, it's us. And if it's broken, it's up to us to fix it. I mentioned a little bit earlier with the job situation, we always want more jobs. We don't want quality jobs in Loveland. It's a beautiful place to live. We'd like our families to stay here after they get out of high school. Too often we see people, kids get out of high school and go somewhere else because there are no real quality jobs locally. I think we have an opportunity in Loveland, again through things like TEDx, some other issues we're doing. The ACE project that is morphed but is still alive, unless you Are we different?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. We'll stop right in. Yeah, I mean, I think those are the kind of jobs and initiatives that make sense, where you're building into the creative jobs, the jobs that are really going to be there 100 years from now, 50 years from now, and onward. And the jobs that we can train our people to, but it's a complex world we live in. The issues and problems we're facing are complex, and the solutions have to be complex. And we have to make sure the next generation is trained. So all these things fit in together. Transportation, for example, what goes on in Loveland. Loveland can expand its base of employees, for example, by drawing on people in Denver. It can also expand its job base by making it easy for people to come from Loveland, and come here and spend their evenings and their weekends, but go down to Denver, go somewhere else to work, and come back. So we have to start looking, I think, more broadly, and we have to stop this thing where we demonize each other and we look for ways that we're different. We have to start looking again at our, it's here. At the end of the day, we have much more in common than we have separating us, and we have to get back to believing in that. I think we all want the same thing. We want a future for our children. We want to make sure we're safe and secure in our jobs and our places of residence and where we go to work and play. We want to make sure that the world is a better place tomorrow, and that we're cared for when we're sick, and regardless of what our income level is. And I think all those things are things that we all believe in, and we all should start fighting for again. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to stand up and run for this office, and why I'm asking you to stand with me and do all we can to get me elected, basically. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Who will your opponent be?
Brian Del Grosso.
Say that in the microphone.
It's Brian Del Grosso. He was initially chosen to take Don Marastica's place by a vacancy committee, and then he ran in 2010 against Bill McCreary. So this would be his third term if he won. He's not, he's a decent human being, but he just votes the Republican line. And, he gets his money from PACs, he gets his money from corporations, and he votes for those kinds of things. I don't think he stands up for the average person like I would if you elect him.